This project was born from the very essence of the Argentinian NGO, Bitcoin NGO, which is to promote the development of technology, of this technology, to create new jobs opportunities and startups, to innovate, to communicate to the different decision makers what this technology can bring to the world. And of course, one of the main goals was to have a social impact. So these concepts I'm going to develop are born from that part of our mission, which is use the technology to create a better world. I know it's nice words. I think we can turn those nice words into action too. Over 2.2 billion people in the world are outside the financial system at this time. 61% of adults in Latin America, that's 250 million people, are outside the formal financial system. The informal economy represents half of the working class. But by 2020, there will be 2/3 of the working class. So that's, the System D, which is this informal economy. It's the fastest growing economy in the last 20 years. It accounts for 10 trillion USD of GDP in total, being the second economy of the world, being the first one, the US economy, with 14 trillion or 15 trillion at the moment. But when they tried to be bank, they realize they don't have enough money to be attractive to the traditional banking system or financial system. The accounts are too expensive to maintain for them. They can afford to spend that money in maintaining an account. And one-fifth of them lack the proper documentation to be part of the financial system. So that leads to the graph that Juan was presenting. 53% of the population is out of the traditional financial system. But those three things, those three main impediments or stoppers, like insufficient fund, maintenance costs, and lack of documentations, are just nouns or concepts. But in real life, what that means is that people cannot access to financing, and if they are social entrepreneurs, that means they are doomed to be poor forever, and their children are doomed to be poor forever. They have no safety for their savings. They go to work thinking when somebody will get in their house and get the few savings they have under the mattress. And that means they will be isolated for the wealthier economy. There's no integration for them. And it's proven that the social entrepreneurs that progress over time are the ones that jump the fence, the ones that manage to offer their services to the wealthier population, the ones that stay within the same poor environment don't make it. I mean, they stagnate, they stay there, they don't really evolve. So the question is, we have all this technology, digital money is already here. So is there a cost-efficient and scalable solution today? I'm not talking cryptocurrencies, in general. And the answer is yes. That's called mobile payments. You have Tigo in Paraguay, you have the Nicaraguan, you have the Ecuador project. So they are starting to create solutions based on mobile payments. But mobile payments run by telcos are not the right solution for a real, inclusive, and global financial system. They don't have enough transparency for supervisory agencies to control what they are doing. They have conflict of interest because usually the private sector looks for profits, and when you go to social inclusions, the goal is to reach more people. And it can lead to concentration of power in private hands. There's a case of M-Pesa, which was a good solution to a crisis, but M-Pesa currently manages 43% of the Kenyan GDP. So it's a huge power in a private company. With blockchain technologies, we can create a neutral and fully transparent platform. Welcome to Sistema D. So what I will play around is with the concept of how and who would build a system to solve this problem. The key elements of Sistema D, an inclusive financial system, are very simple. You only need a smartphone, an open source mobile application, so everybody can see the source of the mobile application and audit that there's no hacking or malignant code. A crypto asset that is pegged to the local currency, let's say a crypto real, because people in those economies need to use their current currency. They cannot be tied to volatility of Bitcoin. A micro-lending engine based on smart contracts, and most importantly, a reputation system. Because as we said, most of those poor people and banks don't have a way to identify themselves properly. We have seen this, reputation is a new currency. You know, trust between strangers is this concept we are working now. And reputation is key because what it gives you, as I said before, is it gives you an identity based on your behavior, not based on where you were born or which wealth you have. And then the actors of that system would be basically the end users, social entrepreneurs, like in the Yunus system, all the lending is going to social entrepreneurs that are the ones who create wealth and have a good impact on their environment, and other participants of the informal economy. But you need funding sources, because at the beginning you need to make the economy move. So you will need the governments, the financial institutions like development banks, and of course you have the philanthropists. Maybe Bill Gates can donate part of his funds to start the Sistema D. And a key point in this is you are not going to the favelas and start connecting one by one with the people in the favelas. But there are already players that are already connecting with the poor people and helping them have a better life. So those NGOs or the government programs or the local merchants who are inserted in that reality will be fundamental to enable the adoption of System D. So with a system like this, we will give half of the population access to financing, a commercialization method, and a savings account. But this, that might look like a dream, is already happening. In Buenos Aires, with our NGO, we already started to plan a pilot case with an NGO called Somos, which works in Villa 31, it's Favela 31. It's a very well-known favela. And we are going to create a program that will include financial alphabetization, a simple app where they can collect and pay, and we'll take 15 social entrepreneurs to help them get funding for their projects. And at the same time in Sao Paulo, I don't know if Guillermo is over here. Nice, Guillermo. Elena can tell us more, but there's also projects going on to use the blockchain technology to create this financial inclusive system.
Yeah, sure. I guess as a Brazilian central bank study stating that in Brazil there are more than 100 or so of social coins. So basically those are the coins that a determined number of people decide that altogether is going to be processed and accepted in exchange for one another in one community. As an attempt to have the financial inclusion here, we have the so-called communitary banks. And what this initiative that has been led by Guillermo and some other people is trying to do is to engage people who used to use, like, I used to have but like paper, like, you know, Festa Junina voucher, to pay in an app by using the community bank through a color coin. He can explain the details better, but basically bringing people to a system that before they would not have access to. And we have some data from Brazil that allow the conclusion that mobile is a great opportunity. For instance, according to some studies back in 2013 or 14, there were 90 million bank accounts from adults in Brazil. There are 124 smartphones. Everyone I personally know have internet in their cell phones, and they use it even to access bank accounts. So this is why this can be a great use of technology on social, because this way you're able to include people through, you know, in a financial system without they even sometimes realizing they are in. So.
Thank you, Elena. And one other thing that I like about Sistema D is that we are getting into their smartphones, let's say. Our app is getting into the smartphones by their basic needs, which is what we already stated. But being there gives us the possibility of going further. And we already have renowned philanthropists and very renowned economists working on other issues of the unbanked and underserved, which is the lack of registry of the land. And for that, I would like you, Juan, to tell us more about it, because I know you are very connected to that project.
Well, in last May, I had the opportunity to attend the blockchain summit in Richard Branson's Necker Island, the BVI, British Virgin Islands. And it was organized by a mining company, Bitfury, and other entrepreneurs. And it was a meeting of very prominent people to try to conceptualize potential uses for the blockchain technology that would have social impact. And one of the reasons I attended is, I have been working with the underbanked, the underserved communities in the United States, providing mostly remittance services. So I am on the send side of remittances, and I've also traveled a lot throughout South America to understand the receiving end of remittances. And the owner of the company that I started working for in the United States in 2002, the first thing he gave me when I arrived in New York, he gave me this book called The Mystery of Capital, El Misterio del Capital. And he told me, you have to read this book, it's going to change your life, it's going to tell you how wealth is created and what needs to happen in order to create wealth from the ground up. Well, the author of that book was there on the island, and that it's Hernando de Soto. That's me with Hernando de Soto, and that same copy that I had received 12 years ago. And if you go one back, that is Richard Branson and all of us having breakfast, second day of the conference. And the interesting thing is that I don't know if Richard Branson was aware that Hernando de Soto was coming to the conference or not. But the first day that we had breakfast at the same table, he didn't realize that Hernando was there. Just walked by and said hi, and just. The second day, someone had told him that Hernando de Soto was on the island, and he sat down at the table with us exactly at that moment, and we were having a discussion about title registry, property, and Branson realized, "Are you Hernando de Soto?" he asked him. So he stood up and he gave him a reverence like this. Richard Branson to Hernando de Soto. So, and why? Why is that? And I was more excited to be there because of Hernando de Soto than the rest. But the point is that this gentleman, Hernando de Soto, is a very well-known economist. He's been researching poverty, property rights, and how capital is created. And it's a fascinating book. You can read it over the weekend. It's very short. And it tells the story of how wealth is created and his thesis is that there has to be an indelible registry of property in order to guarantee the transfer of title. And in the final slide, he presented this the following day in the presentation, and he said, we were having dinner the night before, and he was learning about blockchain technology because he had been exposed to blockchain technology, and you know where we're going, right? He had been studying for decades the importance of registration of property in some form of database, some database. So he found out, or he was introduced to the blockchain technology as an indelible, reliable, irrefutable source of truth, right? And the next morning he had this long string of documents, and he presented it as an artisanal blockchain, una blockchain artesanal. And we were all blown away. This 8-meter long chain of title is a copy of the real ownership documents from the time of the Incas, hundreds of years ago, to the final owners of a mine in Peru, right? So, and those are all the links in the chain, all of the new governments, new agencies, imagine viceroys, foreign governments, any institution that has transferred title and certified the ownership of something, right? So, and he was extremely excited about the possibility of using this technology to finally record the title of any good or any property so that people could then start putting that property as guarantees, as collateral for credit. Because the source of his thesis is you need to have assets. There's millions of assets. It's an $11 trillion economy. Lots of assets, but no capital because there's no way to register it and no way to collateralize credit. So the point is, this new technology and System D could become, and it could explode development of those communities and development of people out of poverty could explode thanks to technologies that allow for the reliable registration of property. Very exciting moment, and that was the highest point of the event.
And you know, you might say we are dreamers, but we are not the only one. So hopefully you will take this dream with you, and later down the road we will work together to make this a reality. Thank you.